2, 1. Twins at Law.
What's up, Mike?
What's going on, Fletch?
Man, I'm a trainer today, bro.
Yeah?
Trainer.
So you don't watch the Deion Sanders website about Colorado and all that shit?
Man, what trips me out about the cat is I just keep wanting to see his fucking toes that are cut off. I don't know why. I know it's fucked up to say because
there's like a porno website that says that probably.
No. When it's the cases,
feet.
there's all these acronyms for if you want double amputees, above the knee amputees, below the knee amputees. Man. The prostitutes who make the most money literally are the ones who are quadruple amputees. They make a ton of money.
That's disturbing my porno outlook.
Well, while we're on the subject of pornography.
Segue. That's called a segue.
Wow.
We're announcing today.
That thing they used to ride on Mall.
Yeah, they used to. It's still pretty cool though. There she is. Stormy Daniels.
My girl.
I think she's cute.
See, this is the start of, I find, to be one of the most absurd positions we've ever been in.
That Stormy Daniels is cute?
No, that this woman is about to take down the democracy that was America to some extent. Because I literally
it's pretty powerful. There's Helen of Troy, I guess. I'm trying to think of in times in history when a woman has brought down a whole civilization.
She didn't have the internet to put porn up.
Right.
So, but this is one that's amazing to me because, as I was saying earlier,
it was porn. It just took a lot longer.
There's two aspects here. It's that one, the Democrats and this machine that's going after Trump is just the epitome of the fix being in what we've talked about over and over and over. And the reason it's significant is what we've talked about over and over. And I will make this clear. If you think a black kid or brown kid or an average earning white person stands a chance once the system's turned on them, all you have to do is look at Donald Trump and look at this woman.
Now, just for clarity, I do think the brunette he was banging was hot.
Right.
All right, and she is too. But back to something more important.
Right.
So here's our point. This has gone on so long with Donald Trump that 2 days ago, Matthew and I were like, we have to do something on this. The definition of selective prosecution is involving this guy right here. This is our next president because what they're doing to this dude is fucking insanity. And it's back to my line. Conservatives worry me and white liberals scare the living shit out of me.
Yeah.
Watching liberals attack this guy through the justice system, and nobody is saying, oh, by the way, this sure feels like selective prosecution. It is outrageous. It is dangerous. It's appalling. And nobody on the left is saying a fucking word.
And the right is doing an even worse job of pointing it out.
Right.
Because I literally, you cannot come up with any more perfect example than a selective prosecution than this case.
Right.
Every federal agency who's reviewed it has declined to press charges.
I mean, with
everyone, Michael.
According to prior to, and what this goes back to is this is the Michael Cohen case where Michael Cohen got convicted 5 years ago for paying Stormy Daniels $130,000 to not do her story about Trump banging her, which I give him credit for. And so Michael Cohen was charged, convicted, sent to prison, and they never charged Donald Trump. Right. At that time, then it is selective prosecution or a selective decision not to prosecute. That argument can be made. It's a fair argument. But now what happens, fast forward 5 years later, and now Alvin Bragg, the person who refused to indict him before, is now convening grand juries saying indict the dude. Right. And you're right about the right fucking it up and the left fucking it up. This is absolutely out fucking outrageous.
Well,
you can't, and again, it goes back to this. I'm not a Trump fan, but a lot of what Trump says it's like we're talking about QAnon. Right. It's not, is the theory fucked up? Yes, but is the premise correct that you think the government's fucking you around? Right. It's true. Right. And what Trump is saying, this idea that you're going after him 5 years later for a crime that was never charged, and here's the other thing is, let me finish. They blamed the Republican Justice Department on that. Well, when Biden's Justice Department came in, they didn't charge him. Right. And now everyone's piling on. Right. And then you get this fucking dope from New York who can't. He says he's going to come back,
Alvin Bragg.
Alvin Bragg, and put on more evidence. Somebody has to say, we may not like Donald Trump. He may be a piece of shit. He may be the second coming of God. But we're either a country of laws or we're not.
Well,
and coming after him 5 years later when no one else would, it's bullshit.
Let's back up a little bit. This is Alvin Bragg. And to be clear, African-American dude, went to Harvard and Harvard Law School, so he's got all the bona fides, which don't mean a fucking thing about your ability to know anything.
He's not intermittent fasting, though.
He's fasting is not one of his, and that's fair. I mean, it's like if you go to Harvard, you can be a fat fucking talk shit.
Did I ever tell you?
I'm a trainer.
Wait,
though,
did
so
I tell you my story about fried chicken? And I mean, this is a bad.
Sure.
I was driving down Broadway one.
Let's put the black prosecutor.
Well, I know, but I was looking at it, and I can say it. We're multicultural. Say whatever we want. I remember looking over, and they had switched Popeyes, and I'm sitting there looking. And then they'd made like a Louisiana chicken, and I'm sitting there just pondering it. And I'm sitting, and a car behind goes beep, and I go, oh, sorry. And I look up, it's a brother in front of me doing the same pondering, and I'm like, go on, move on.
The shiny object was a fried chicken stand.
A new fried chicken stand. We were both deep in thought about. I wonder.
Deep shit. I wonder why the African American community is in so much fucking trouble.
I have a friend though who
throw their asses off, put up a new fried chicken.
I have a white friend, Brian. I mean, he's a general. I shouldn't say he's been in some of these shows. That motherfucker would get indignant when you said only black people like chicken. He goes, man, I love chicken, man. That's wrong. That's improper.
The number of white friends that I have, particularly from the South, are indignant that you would take away our favorite food.
That's our first.
It's the number one sit-down food in America. It's been forever. But I mean,
black people stolen.
When you go back south.
That's critical race theory.
When you go back south and you watch black folks and white folks together, you're like, same motherfucker, boy. Same motherfucker. I love.
Go back to
Alvin Bragg, you know, Harvard.
He's
Harvard, Harvard this, Harvard that. This guy literally said there, and this payoff wasn't 5 years, it was in 2016.
Yeah, but it was the conviction happened in 2018.
I don't give a fuck about it. You know, I don't know what happened to the statute of limitations in New York. I know this. In my theory of evaluating a case, Alvin Bragg wants to bring the first charge, indictment against a former United States president or in the history. And he wants to do it not based upon anything else, but based upon this theory that when Donald Trump's lawyer, not Donald Trump, Donald Trump's lawyer paid some chick 130 grand to keep her fucking mouth shut because she was literally saying, I fucked the dude and I'm going to come out. Now, $130,000 to Donald Trump is a nickel to us, $5 to us. It's of zero fucking meaning, zero fucking consequence. And Alvin Bragg, because he's from Harvard, he says, well, it's really a federal crime, understanding that none of the federal branches have wanted to charge him. Justice Department,
well,
the elections.
The Trump Justice Department originally did begin the process, and they were thinking about getting Trump. Then that got passed along. But again, that doesn't solve the Joe Biden Justice Department. And Bragg's issue is, and Bragg initially passed on this, and everyone got mad, and all the white liberals are upset and angry, and you should do this. He did the right thing originally, but now we're just at this point where it's just like it's stupid.
Right. Let's go back a little bit. So, since 2006, this alleged crime is known. It's out there. Whether it was 2016, excuse me. Whether the National Enquirer bought it and then sold it or kept it under wraps or whatever. This has been out there. Bragg had an opportunity to prosecute. Cyrus Vance had an opportunity to prosecute. Manhattan, he's not the first Manhattan district attorney to pass this up. Every single one of them have passed it up. Every single federal agency on campaign finance has passed it up.
Right.
The FBI passed it up. The Justice Department passed it up. But literally, this cat's sitting here going, like, he's decided not to bring charges against anything else but for this. And understand, if it's just paying off somebody, in their theory, it's just a misdemeanor. Just a fucking misdemeanor. This dude is literally risking the lives of Americans because this shit's going to piss you. You perp walk that motherfucker,
Yeah, see, I think that's so
Now, come
overrated.
on.
I think that's
Did
so.
you see January 6th?
I think it's so overrated, and that no one's gonna. No one. Say five people do something stupid. Five people out of 350 million people is not a an uprising.
Well, if it was
What,
five, I would be okay with it.
no
But
one's
what
done
I'm concerned,
anything.
well, he
The,
hasn't been indicted yet. But what you're talking about is making the first time move against the president based upon what in your state is a misdemeanor.
Well, and that part I agree with
Okay.
100%. But what I'm saying is it's the selective nature of this,
Well, sure.
and nobody is stepping back and saying, wait a minute,
Right.
this is 5 years later. That necessarily makes it selective. You should have done it 5 years ago. If you didn't, that was selective non-prosecution. But to come back now 5 years later and do it, that's selective prosecution. But wait, and there's one other part, and that is this. It's bullshit. It's not like he paid him off because he was fucking a kid. The number of executives fucking people other than their wives, thousands,
Or
and
husbands.
not one of or husbands, and not one of them have been charged. And so we're doing all of this shit because he paid off a chick who he was banging because he was having an affair. And that's the part. And everyone's, oh, it's a country of law. No, it's not.
Right.
No, it's not. You don't get pulled over for doing 65. You get pulled over for doing 85. In this situation, when it's all said and done, you're going to indict the former president for paying off a chick he was banging.
Right. And here's the most interesting thing about it to me. And it is
Tax evasion or whatever the fuck it
everything
is. Give me a break.
everything is selective in the sense that they can charge what they choose to charge. This man could have done just like every other person that said, no, I'm beyond that.
And he said originally.
But this dude literally has sued Donald Trump or his organization 200 times.
Well, that's not correct. I mean,
is
the
correct.
Trump organization one I think is fundamentally different. But this one, relative to the president and the underlying alleged crime, is paying your mistress off.
Well,
There's never been. I'm going to go out on a limb. I bet you there's never been another person charged for paying off his or her mistress in New York in the last 20 years.
well,
This
sure,
is all
that's
it
a
is.
safe bet. That's a safe bet. But what I'm saying is, according to the New York Times, this guy sued Trump or his organization 200 times. He went after the Trump Foundation, brags about getting $2 million.
Yeah, no, Bragg inherited that against the Trump Foundation.
He brags about doing it. Literally. How about this?
But those are different. I mean,
Who else has he gone after? And I got some statistics.
But let
for
me
you.
finish. But
No,
there's
let's
a difference
do-
between the Trump organization and Donald Trump.
Okay.
The Trump organization was corrupt as fuck. Got it. But Donald Trump,
Do you think that's the only one in New York?
no, I don't. I know. But those are, to me, they're just different. This situation where you're going after the former president just as he's running for election because you don't like him
Right.
and all the liberals fucking love him and great. But that is not a basis to go after
Right.
someone. That targeting of people you don't like for prosecution,
Selective targeting.
of people for prosecution that you don't like, and it's devastating. And that's what no one on the left is saying, you know what, I think this is not a good idea.
Well, and the interesting thing about
And
the,
they're
one,
championing
the
it.
ones on the left are the hypocrisy. I mean, they are falling over each other to get Michael Cohen on their shows. I mean, they're kissing his ass, he's getting a rim job every fucking time he comes. Oh, hi, Michael. How are
Prostate
Michael
rub.
Cohen literally is the one who paid her off. Literally the one who wrote out the retainer agreement, wrote out the checks. And here's the most interesting part about it. You're talking about, say it's 5 people are going to riot. On the word of this motherfucker?
Yeah, but again, and Michael Cohen, the other part they forget is his taxi cab scam where he sold all of his taxi cab medallions to immigrants. And yeah, I mean, and he's the one that's threatening to take care of people and hurt them. And there is this selectivity relative to what you're going to remember about Michael Cohen. But when it's still said and done, let's assume, let's say it's Donald Trump's priest say, yes, I paid off this chick who Donald Trump was fucking. That is not the basis to arrest the president.
Right.
It's not the basis to come after the ex-president 5 years later.
Well,
It's insanity.
And here's
but
the
the other part,
selective nature about it is Alvin Bragg knows what you're saying is true. They've had a fucking grand jury hemmed up for weeks. And as we said early on in this, a grand jury will indict a ham sandwich. They need nothing, zero, squat.
but
to indict
let's
you.
just stop on this point. no one on MSNBC and all the people who are so concerned about justice have said one word about, wait a minute, you can't get an indictment with a fucking grand
Right.
jury. This should stop. Even if you wanted to get him, that fact alone, it's been back 2 times, 3 times. You're not calling witnesses because you're good.
Right.
And at no point in time does someone say, you know, Nicole Wallace, she should say this. I think Donald Trump is a piece of shit, but even pieces of shit in America are entitled to due process. And what they're doing is fucked up. If
Right.
they do that to Donald Trump, it's like,
Yeah, 100%.
it's like, and you know, it's like all the oath keepers and shit who are being charged on J6. I keep going back to this point is, how come none of the motherfuckers that organized it have been arrested? It's
Money.
just the people who believed and wanted to do it, and not one of these motherfuckers, no one else has
Right.
been arrested.
Well, but
There are
the-
people
the-
doing prison
The
terms.
great thing about the Oath Keepers is the gullibility of poor people, whether they're white or black or brown. When a guy says, we're going to march down there and and they go, all right, you go. And they start marching. This dude never jumps in line. And they're sitting there and they're getting prosecuted. What they did was fucked up. If it would have been a bunch of Muslims or black people or, God forbid, drag queens,
Yeah.
they would have fucking shot every fucking one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, they you know, if you ask for a gender neutral bathroom, they go fucking haywire.
Yeah.
And these motherfuckers are sitting there banging through the windows and they've lost their fucking mind. There's cats are going to end up doing 15, 20 fucking years in federal fucking prison.
Well, the one dude with the patch is going to do 10 for sure.
Well, and you literally,
but there's lots of just regular people doing 3 years.
Well, but let me tie this up real quick. In New York last year, there was 433 fucking murders. 433 fucking murders. And Trump got in trouble for going after Bragg and saying, hey, why don't... Last year, there were 45,572 serious crimes in New York. That's rapes, murders, shootings, larcenies, grand larcenies. 45,000. Now, what you have to understand is, as you certainly know, to go to the grand jury, you got to have your lawyers, you got to have your investigators, you got to have your DA investigators, you have the cops involved. It's an incredible undertaking, and it's just corrupt as fuck because you don't ever get the other side really put on. And so you're telling me that out of the 45,572 people whose family members are victims of being robbed, raped, murdered, or stolen, you're fucking telling me the best you have is to investigate this dude and say he's a piece of shit. Whatever you want to say. You know what he's not? A murderer, a rapist, a larcenist, a shooter, an extortionist. So wherever you land on the scale, from left to right, you certainly have to say, if a porn star decided to sleep with a dude for money, and then she says, hey, dumbass, you got to pay me or I'm going to National Enquirer, that doesn't even come close to being on the radar screen of the dead kid or the dead kid's family.
Think about
But that same investigative time, all of that, which could be being used to prosecute, to find the bad guys, is being used to go after Donald Trump.
How about this?
On a thing from 2016.
How about this? How about if you just go find one of the bad guys?
Just one.
Just one. And that's what's so, but again, it's this great white liberal nonsense is, oh, they're so concerned about all this. What about all the fucking black and brown kids that are getting raped in Rikers Island?
Right.
Well, we did a piece on that last year. Alvin Bragg, I see him going into the grand jury. You go arrest someone who's raping children in school. Go arrest a Catholic priest who are literally living in New York. They won't do a fucking thing. And they're going after, again, if this was 5 years ago, then you should do
at
it.
'em.
But now, and what's crazy is there's nobody.
Well, answer this question. What the fuck is so special about now? Was there some new
Well,
evidence?
that's the whole point. No.
Was there some new evidence?
No.
A new witness?
Nope.
A new anything?
Nope.
The only thing
He's going to run for office. We can't have that.
The only thing that's changed is the calendar. And it's changed 7 fucking times. It's
That's amazing,
2023.
dude. It's fucking
And
incredible.
you literally, and here's the part about Bragg and these fucks at MSNBC who, the lack of integrity on this argument is stifling to me.
It's jaw
And I'll
dropping.
tell you why. when they sit there and say, we're here to prove that no man is above the law. Shut the fuck up. There's little kids who are people who are afraid to walk down their street because there's real, live, mean, bad, rotten, fucking violent criminals. And you aren't investigating it because you have X number. Just say it's 1% of your entire investigation. And you know it's not. You have your leader walking in, presenting the shit to the grand jury or sitting in there.
It's stunning.
And you've not gone after a single fucking person but him.
Well, how about this? How about the crypto just debacle?
Right.
Who are you going to charge for this? You know how many regular motherfuckers thought, man, this is it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to get it. And they were all defrauded.
Right.
New York hasn't prosecuted one motherfucker for that. And you're going after the fucking ex-president who fucked a porn star.
Right. But their claim to frame is, yeah, well, we did sue him for Trump University. I find this the hypocrisy compared to what the crypto bullshit has done and Trump University. This isn't even a close call. This is you don't like the dude, and Bragg obviously is running for office or has intentions of doing it, but don't you fucking sit there and tell me, black man, that you are out there proving the justice system because no one, including this white guy, is above the law. Because what you're doing is subverting the justice system for no other fucking reason than you decided. Put it like this. 2 years ago, did you know who the fuck Alvin Bragg was?
No, but first of all, he decided not to charge. He dropped the charges.
And did it get him on MSNBC?
Oh no, but it got him beat up and all this, and that's what's so weird about this. But again, it's back to the intellectual dishonesty at MSNBC and all of these places, and Fox.
Fox too.
It's just someone should just say, you cannot prosecute someone 5 years later when you had that motherfucker right there. You had the chance and you chose not to, and now we're going to prosecute you because we don't like you because you're attacking Rupert Murdoch. Because and again, I go back to this. I've said it a million times. I watched Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump talking at competing rallies 8 years ago, and I said, damn, they're kind of saying the same thing. Regular people are getting fucked. And every time now and there's someone seemingly will go and try and help. Right. And then so people get behind both of them and then they throw them both under the bus. It's this selective prosecution, and it's the power elites who don't say a fucking thing about it. Not one person at MSNBC has said, you know what? This is fucked up.
Right. Well, this is fucked up. No one at Fox has really come out and said it either.
Same thing.
But I find it remarkable the lack of support that Trump's getting over at Fox, because he's gone after Rupert Murdoch and them.
Yeah.
I hold on real quick. Donald Trump is the same person he was 6 years ago, 10 years ago. The only thing that's changed about this guy ever is he went from Democrat to Republican, but it's still the same talking points, same everything. And when you literally sit there and you're watching this, if you are a true conservative Republican, to watch a bureaucracy like the Department of Justice or the Manhattan District Attorney's Office be turned and directed literally at one individual person, and you aren't fucking, your head doesn't explode on fire, because overreaching government is how he got elected to start with. This is how all this show we talk about, the fix is in, and what you said the other day made a lot of sense. This system isn't broken.
It's working.
It's working exactly as it's supposed to. These power elites, these people in power and in control want to stay in power and control, and you fuck with it a little bit, as Donald Trump's finding out now, and everybody's literally jumping in line going, he's going to be indicted. What, indicted on fucking what?
Well, but it's also this is, and it's funny, and again, what Fox isn't doing is what you're saying, which is, they want to focus on the hysteria and, this is all this wild Trump shit.
Right.
Why not focus on the structural portion of this argument, which is we should not selectively prosecute anybody.
Right.
We shouldn't do it to black people. We shouldn't do it to poor people, and we shouldn't do it to rich white ex-presidents because it's wrong across the board. But if we say that, then that goes to the foundation of the power elite, because the way they keep control is by selectively prosecuting people.
Well, and because they keep people on their backing up on their heels, because they never know who they're going to come after next. When Donald Trump's audience were saying lock her up, MSNBC was apoplectic, CNN apoplectic. Now, they're leading the fucking chance. Now, they're not saying it, but they are saying the indictment's coming today, the indictment's coming. The lack of integrity is remarkable. And I'll tell you this is the last point I'll make. This manipulation of people and of the systems and the bureaucracy is so blatantly apparent. And I'll tell you why. You're spending, Michael Cohen says he's spent over 800 hours with prosecutors. That means there's not one cop, so there's at least two investigators.
Are they paying him too, probably?
I don't think he's getting paid. He's getting paid well enough.
They pay witnesses all the fucking time.
I'm aware of them paying witnesses all the time.
I mean, he probably is being paid. I think he is, but it's
not even the point. Say he's not. Say he's doing out of the goodness of his heart. That makes it even worse.
Right.
You got a guy in a vendetta who wants to come after someone and says, well, if I'm guilty, you're guilty. It's like, Donald Trump didn't write the fucking check.
Yeah.
You wrote the check. You communicated with her. And here's the other thing. As the lawyer, there's what's called the cost of defense, as you know. Someone calls and says, hey, we got a crazy lady. She says Donald Trump fucked her at a golf tournament. She's a porn star. Well, we can fight that, or what does she want? Anybody would tell you $130,000 is a joke. Cheap. It's cheap. If she should have said $1 million, because the cost of defense, 130, that doesn't get you past the first week of litigation. But the absurdity of this is now we have Alvin Bragg and all the Fox, everyone's agreeing this guy's getting indicted, and no one's even looked at the facts. Here are the facts. Donald Trump says I didn't fuck her right off the bat. So now you have two people. You got a porn star who's paid to pretend to have orgasms. You have a porn star who.
Yeah, see, I don't think that's good.
I don't. Why would I believe what a prostitute says?
That's just legal argument shit.
It's not legal. It's a factual.
They could convict him because they're going to believe it because he fucks he fucks chicks. But here's the point.
Where are the other porn stars coming forward to say I fucked him?
Well, the other one who paid $150,000, the hot brunette. He fucks a lot of chicks.
She's a Playboy model.
All right, but okay, that's not porn. But my point is that
maybe
fucking,
in your mind that's porn.
Not really. It's not. It's never been, for the record. But the issue really is that that's not a fucking crime. So it's the fact that all of this effort is being directed at a dude who fucks some chick other than his wife. And nobody, that's what's driving me crazy, is no one saying we can't prosecute people for that. And if we're going to start, it's not going to be the former president of the United States during election season. And that's why this is what you're saying, the whole system is perversely fucked up because they just simply direct their action at whoever they want for whatever reason. Has nothing to do with the law, has nothing to do with keeping people safe. It has only to do with exacting revenge on someone who's threatening the system. Fox, Murdoch, oh, he's still threatening us, let's get rid of him. The point of the matter is he's still a fucking United States citizen. And what the people have to look at is, that's not a fucking crime.
And aren't you impressed by the coordinated nature of the left and the right media, that they've all
both indignant?
They've all turned over and said, well, he's getting indicted, they're just destroying him. But let me finish with this. This is what a fucking joke it is. We're going through all of this money, all of this fucking public harassment.
What do you think the number is? Conservative. What is the number?
If the
for the Justice Department, well, the J6 I think is a little different, but for the Alvin Bragg, that's a good point on New York. For what is New York spent on investigating whether or not Donald Trump paid to fuck a prostitute?
Right. Well,
it's got to be 5 million, 10 million.
Oh, it's way more than that.
$10 million.
If it's 800 hours with Michael Cohen, you sit down, you add on 10 other lawyers sitting there, so that's 10 times 800. You talk about the court report, just court reporter for 800 hours of prosecution.
That's crazy.
I couldn't even.
That's crazy.
I mean, it's more than $1,000 an hour. How many transcripts? You're talking about tens of millions. But here's what you know.
Is it 25 million?
At least
$25 million.
And here's the thing about it: they're going to prove that no one's above the law and all of this. And you know what?
But in doing that, they're proving.
Do you know what the Secret Service has 2 jobs in this country by law? To protect the money.
Fucking prostitutes in Peru.
All right. Well, that's it in this country.
Oh.
The Secret Service, the 2 main jobs are they have to protect the money. So Wild Wild West, the secrets. and the other one is they have to protect the President of the United States. Vice President, President of the United States, blah, blah, blah. But certainly we start with the president, and since like 1960-something, it's included ex-presidents. So you're going through all of this shit because no one's above the fucking law, and every one of you lying piece of shit, hypocritical motherfuckers have to admit, he ain't never going to jail.
Right. Well, that's
he's not going to jail.
You said
You're
that
going
yesterday.
through all of this.
Yeah, you
he's
said
70-some years old. He has no criminal record. There's no chance he's going to jail.
That's the crazy part.
And you understand, for him to go to jail, the Fed trumps the state. So if the
not from prosecutorial.
I guarantee you, the feds aren't.
Well, the better.
No, I'm not talking about the prosecuting side. Those federal agents, Secret Service, are going with the president to jail.
Oh, I understand. But that's the point. Is he's never going.
That's right.
So all of this and all of this money and all of this indignation, and he's never going to jail.
Right.
Which goes back to this premise, which is it's just fucking selective prosecution of someone because you don't like them.
45,572 major crimes committed last year, and you don't think this money and this time could be better spent? And you're literally telling me, in good conscience, Alvin Bragg and all of his little friends are sitting and says, this is really, really worth it.
Yeah, because he's sitting there. It's Alvin Bragg, and he's hanging out with white liberals over here, and his bougie friends are all like, "Oh, we're really getting to the bottom of this."
Right.
And they don't care about regular people. Rikers Island, people are being raped and killed, children every day. Can't do a fucking thing. But we can spend $25 million because that dude fucked a chick and didn't want his wife to know.
Well, and the interesting point about it to me is, again, and this is a practical thing. If you're a 60-year-old dude, as Dr. Buss used to say, he said, I know Miss February isn't dating me because I'm so handsome.
Huh.
Donald Trump, while he's a big believer in his looks, he has to know that, and Melania certainly knows, maybe she didn't walk in like she has. I have to have you.
But I think he's.
But it's understood.
Deal.
But literally, you're sitting there going,
every hot chick I fuck, it's not because she's nice.
I understand. I understand. I understand. But here's the thing. What do you think? Donald Trump was caught on tape in Access Hollywood saying you can grab him by the pussy, they let him, you can kiss him, blah, 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 blah. Did anyone see his wife leave him? See anything filed anywhere?
Yeah, but what's that have to do with anything?
What the fuck would he give him with this whole thing about fucking the?
Oh, but that's his.
I don't give a fuck what you say.
But that's his choice, though. I mean,
Well, of course it's his choice.
But it's still his choice.
But the thing about it is,
but it's not a violation of any law.
Oh, I'm saying that from the start to the end, to the middle, to the beginning, and throw it 17 million fucking times. Now you can sit there and say, because their argument is this payoff was really done to help his campaign. Come on, with a straight face.
I don't know. All I know is I don't care why. I mean, you can say why he did it. All I know is it's a rich dude fucking a chick, and she hits him up for money afterwards. And there's never been anyone charged for it in the history of New York in the last 50 years, except for the former president, just when he's running for office.
Here's a very interesting thing that just came to me. Last famous motherfucker who loved to golf, who loved to fuck prostitutes.
New York,
Mr. Tiger Woods.
Oh shit! I thought you meant Kennedy.
No. Tiger Woods.
He's not from New York, though.
He's got a place in New York, man.
No, he's
Tiger
California.
Woods from out here. I understand.
California, Florida.
He's like best friends with Donald Trump. They're
no,
buddies.
Stop that.
Quit. I'll tell you like this.
Twins at law. Don't listen to my brother. He's crazy on this point. On the Tiger Woods.
Wah.